back, Russian forces continue their full-scale assault on Ukraine as its military attacks the country from the north, east and south. Today is day 2. There's fierce fighting being reported from across the country and reports of big blasts heard in Kiev. Let's go across to Jyoti Hair, a reporter from Kiev. Thank you so much, Jyoti, for joining us this morning. What's the latest you can share with us?
Hi, good morning. So it's around 6 o'clock in the morning here now, and about 45 minutes ago, we heard 3 big blasts. And now we're hearing from Ukrainian officials that a plane was shot down, but this is not confirmed yet. However, I can confirm there was 2 very large blasts and then sort of a smaller blast. It seemed to be coming in closer than yesterday. I didn't actually see anything in the air today. Unlike yesterday, we saw huge sort of explosions and smoke. But there were reports of people seeing explosions over the Dnieper River. So that happened about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour ago. So I can't confirm exactly, but the Ukrainian officials are saying that that jet was shot down.
And what is the situation in the city? Yesterday we saw, lots of visuals of people fleeing cities and traffic jams and vehicles trying to move out. But for the moment, also there are reports that people have been asked to go into bomb shelters, etc. If you could share that with us.
Sure. So definitely yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, it was impossible to get out of the city for the people that were trying to get out. And then we saw sort of later into the day, and especially I went into the grocery stores around 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, and you could see that the shelves were bare. There was no bread. Lots of dry stuff was gone. There was, I would say, like 70% of the dry stuff was off the shelves. Huge lines more. So in the morning we had the lines, and then in the evening we had the lines. So in the morning you had the people that woke up, heard what was happening, tried to flee, tried to stock up. And then in the evening you had those people that still weren't sure what was happening in the morning, hitting the stores, hitting the banks, bank machines, huge lineups in the evening. Yesterday evening I also saw people in the underground metros treating that as a bomb shelter and sheltering there. So a lot of confusion still. Right now it's early, so you can see the streets behind me. They're pretty much clear. We're going to see what happens in a couple of hours. I mean, clearly there's something happening right now, but as in terms of the people, the citizens, what they're planning on doing today, as you know, the Ukrainian president did ask the Ukrainian people to defend themselves, to pick up arms, to sign up if they can. So yesterday I didn't see a lot of, people out and armed citizens, but we'll see what happens here in a couple of hours. And also the latest was that the mayor himself, the mayor of Kiev, has said that he will be picking up arms to defend the city. So that's the latest right now.
Right. One can't imagine the situation. So you actually have husbands and fathers, just picking up arms and going off to defend the city, the country. What does it mean when they've been asked to pick up arms? Do they then have to go and report somewhere? If you could just explain a little more. And you can understand a lot of anxious Indian families also, wanting to know the latest from there, given that their loved ones, many students are there in Ukraine right now.
Definitely a scary situation. I mean, it's been a scary situation here for a while, but to hear actual government officials, the president of the country, tell citizens to pick up arms, I mean, that's just scary within itself. So what does that mean? Either citizens can sign up, reservists can go and sign up for the army and receive arms from the military. But also, as of late, there were more arms sales in Ukraine, and previously private citizens could carry arms but not in public, but now private citizens with arms are allowed to carry them in public. So that's a huge change. So one of 2 ways, but either way, Ukrainian citizens can now arm themselves and walk the streets with those arms.
And the latest reports that we're seeing from, many of the news agencies is about efforts by Russian forces to actually surround Kiev.
That's exactly what I'm hearing. That is exactly what I'm hearing. Even as close as I would say about, let's give it a drive time, about 30 minutes, 35 minutes out. There's an airport, not a civilian airport, but apparently that has been taken over by Russian troops, and very quietly. There weren't, big bangs and, shooting. It seemed to have been taken over quietly without too much Ukrainian resistance. And so and exactly as you say, it appears that since yesterday, forces from Belarus were getting closer to Kiev, and it looks like today the possibility of them actually getting into Kiev city proper is sounding closer and closer.
And Jyoti, what is the information like there right now? Are you receiving information? Is the internet working? Are all the news sites working over there? Also, we do know there's a lot of pride in Ukraine, and everyone said that they'll defend themselves. The president has said that Ukraine will fight back in his last message that he made just before President Putin announced the invasion. But is there a sense that some peace could be brokered? That clearly Russia wants to, control Ukraine. They want a change of regime there. Is there any sort of, are you hearing any sort of efforts on that front, or right now it's that they're going to fight and defend Ukraine?
Well, Ukraine has officially cut off diplomatic ties with Russia. So the chances of peace being brokered at this point are very slim. And I mean, we've been leading up to this point for a very long time, but in the past 3 to 4 weeks, more efforts from around the world have been made to broker this peace. And clearly it hasn't made any sort of effect. So right now, from what we understand from President Putin, it doesn't look like he's very interested in any kind of peace brokering. He has a specific vision for Ukraine, for Kiev, and from what we can see, it's going like he's planned.
Right. There are reports that the French president says he's ready to broker a ceasefire. We'll wait to hear more, on that front. Have you heard also that there have been protests in Russia against this Ukraine invasion? There have been arrests as well, protests in St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that, and it's actually rather surprising, but also we have to understand there's such really close ties between the Ukrainian people, the Russian people, their relatives, friends, especially people living on the borders. I mean, for people living on the borders, crossing the border to visit family and friends is the same as crossing, going from one city to another. So there's a lot of kinship. So between the people of Ukraine and Russia, there's a bond, and they're just like the Ukrainian people are shocked and in disbelief that this is actually happening. That same shock and disbelief is over in Russia. So yeah, there are protests there. We've also seen violence there against those protesters. When the Russian government has a plan, we know that dissidents are not so peacefully treated. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of that there as well. But unfortunately, at this point, I'm not sure what protests can possibly do when we now have Russian troops so close to Kiev.
All right.